Welcome, I'm Mason Leite, Financial Advisor with Martin Christopher Investments. Welcome to part 3 of this video series. Have everything ready that you completed in part 1 and 2 as we will be using this. Take a look at the goals that you noted in part 1, and I want you to section them off into short-term goals and longer-term goals. Anything that will take place within the next 2 years is shorter term, and anything longer than 2 years you can consider long term. So back at our spreadsheet, if you do have extra money, you can allocate it accordingly on the spreadsheet over here near the bottom. The one section, long term, is for investing efficiently for long-term goals such as retirement, saving for your first home, your kids' education, things like that. While the other section, short-term goal savings, is stuff that would sit in a separate savings account to access easily for traveling, bigger planned house renovations, saving for a car, an emergency fund, things like that. For now, you can keep them both going in a plain savings account, but in your budget, I want you to have your monthly savings for each separated if you can for the sake of planning, and we'll get back to this section later. Now, with these limited resources that you have, this is where your priorities come into play. Of the sections you had before, I want you to take a look at each individual one, and I want you to ask yourself, can we bring this down? What can we do? You can go as fast as you want, or you can take your time. If you only change in your total spending habits $100 a month, it's a start, but you will move much slower, right? So if your goal is paying off debt, for example, and I change this to lower eating out a little bit, it certainly will help. I have that extra money that I can pay towards one of the loans. But as you can see, in a full month, it doesn't make much of a dent, and it's going to take a long time to pay it off this way. If you make a good amount of changes and start using, let's say, $1,000 per month instead to pay off debt or to save, you will go much further, much faster. Easier said than done, I'm sure. Remember that you need to make these changes in real life, so be sure to make them realistic. Not sure if you can do it? Well, what I'll be doing is going through the example budget, which is attached below and with part 2's attachment, and I'll be going line by line and show you in each area how you can improve them. Be sure to take notes on this. So I'll start with the debt section all the way over here because it might not apply to everyone. So any extra money that you have should be going towards this debt payoff section first. You can easily count it down month by month by changing the balance outstanding over here to what it says for balance end of the month. See, I'm doing the math for you over here. This helps you as you go along. So for example, let's say I'm just going to take this out so the numbers add up. If I make this $540, okay, in payments, that makes this equal for how much I have extra each month. And after a full month of doing this, my balance will go down to $1,460. So I'm going to adjust this accordingly after the month has gone by. And you'll notice a couple things. First off, you start to see this starts to drop month by month if you keep it going. And second off, what's cool is you have this applied to the interest that you're paying as well. So because of that payment in that single month, I have an extra $118 by making that change. It's quite substantial. And so what I would naturally recommend you do is add that to here so that your next month you're paying off even more. And you can just snowball from there. Now, the way you allocate this, I would either start with the smallest amount of debt first so that it's really encouraging as you pay off one credit card after the other. Or you start with the one with the highest interest rate. So my example, I chose this because it has a high interest rate. It's whatever you prefer to do. Either option is a great idea. Set up automatic payments where you can. And for the things you can't, maybe set an alarm in your phone or an event in your calendar to make sure you remember to make each payment. Now, before we move on from the debt section, a key strategy here that you might be able to change is moving the high interest debt into the low interest options. So let's say that this line of credit, for example, it's not super low interest, but let's say that you could actually put $5,000 into this line of credit right now. So what you can do right away is just make this 0 and make this 20,000. meaning in real life, actually do that. But if you can do this, what'll end up happening is you have extra money each month because of this change, because you're paying less interest on that same amount of debt. Depending on your credit score, you can try to also open a different line of credit with a new debt and lower interest. If you want to learn more about that, send me an email via the description below and I can connect you with a broker I trust that will lead you in the right direction. Now on to the other sections. First off, we go up to income. When was your last raise? Would it be appropriate to ask for one now? If you aren't happy, you can also instead look around while still working, I would suggest, and perhaps find something in the same field but with better pay. That would certainly help in this area. Another note, you can also take more hours. Maybe you get overtime pay and that opportunity is there at your work. Or you can do something even on the side, whether it be a side hobby or it be being an Uber driver or doing skip the dishes, things like that. Really, when it comes down to it, more income will help. This might be difficult to do, but especially if you're in debt, maybe try doing it temporarily. So decide to work extra for the next 3 or 6 months, let's say, and if that provides you some extra money, then that's going to get you to your goal faster. For example, if I add $500 a month extra here, that is an extra $500 that I can use to pay off debt, for example, here. Really, you need to do whatever you can to increase this, especially if you're high in debt and if you just want to get to your goal quicker. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I also added a link to the description of the post for this video that you can access to find a list of some ideas for side hustles that you could do to increase your income. Great work so far. Hopefully you found some opportunities based on my suggestions that'll work for you. If so, take some time to write out an action plan of the steps that you're going to take to make things a bit better. And once you are done that, move on to part 4, where we'll look at other opportunities that might work for you.